About a minute. We need to talk. Yeah, I noticed we're missing a few rat filters.
Whoa, you look tired, man. Everything okay?
I don't know. Maybe it's got something to do with sleeping on the floor?
Oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Of course not. You have your cozy captain's bed.
All right, no need to be so dramatic about it. I'll get you a proper dorm.
Sounds like a promise. I like the new medals.
Hey, I built that dormitory you asked for.
Hallelujah.
I hope you sleep well tonight.
I'll sleep like a full-fledged member of an advanced civilization.
Sweet dreams, then.
this now?
These loose rocks look like they might be passable. If only I had a tool to drill through them. not good. We are surrounded. Damn it. So much for Plan B.
Hey, what's this?
Huh. It's triggering the alert in my suit. I need to learn more about this thing. Must be another one of those cargo drops. Except that doesn't look like the crew's personal luggage. Might be worth checking out. Huh. Looks like some kind of device. Maybe there's a way I could use it. Awesome. Another movie.
Hey, man. We're running out of storage space.
Where my stuff landed here?
Okay, I went beyond the rocks. It doesn't look good. The lava river is fast as hell. I'll be straight with you. There's no way around it. Holy shit. What now? I guess we need to get across somehow. Any ideas up your smart-ass sleeve? So now I'm smart, huh? Well, actually, I do have an idea. We could build a research lab and see if we can come up with anything useful there. Okay, let's give it a go. Look what I found. Any idea what it could be? Let's see. It looks like a qubit chip. Qubit chip? Yeah. Like an enhanced storage for quantum computing operations. It could be useful for increasing the efficiency of our QC unit. Not to mention accessing new tech in the research lab. It looks broken. Perceptive. A little love in the workshop should get it up and running. Gotcha. Thanks. Noticed we're missing a few rad filters. You're so... Hey, how are you feeling? Well, I'll be damned. You okay? Surprisingly okay. Especially considering what I'm seeing. Very clearly. Good. Do you, remember your name? Of course. But... I think you know perfectly well who I am. So let's not waste time. Just tell me, how much did you find? What? How much rupidium is there? Did we get a breakthrough? You bet. There's a lot of it. Good. That's good. Wait, how do you know? Well, isn't it obvious? I wake up seeing someone who looks and sounds like me, which has to mean we share the same DNA. Then there's the glasses. What about them? They're fake. Probably just manufactured to make me feel more like myself, but completely unnecessary otherwise, because here I am with perfectly good eyesight in the womb module, which could only lead to one conclusion: that my body was created to replicate someone who doesn't wear glasses. You. And to do that, of course, you would need to have found rupidium. Besides, I can see no other explanation for a sheep inside a space base. Correct me if I'm wrong. Wow, you're right. That's impressive. I did create you out of my DNA. We're not identical, of course. I can see you're not as quick to process information, and that's the interesting part. Yeah, our bodies are the same, but our minds are not. I needed a scientist on board, but there's always a scientist on board. So, what went wrong? The old crew is gone. They're all dead. That's why I needed to alter myself into different versions. With the use of the quantum computer on board and something called mind records. Oh, I see. A recalculated mind based on an infinite amount of variables to contain the desired consciousness in a biological vessel. That actually sounds plausible. So, what do you need from me now? Why don't you rest a little? Get accustomed to the new reality? Which part of what I just said makes you think I'm not ready to start immediately? Well, in that case, your situation must be critical considering the lengths you went to. Something tells me there's no time to lose. You're right. Why don't you start with going through the mission logs? I need to get the full picture first. My thoughts exactly. Good. This might work. found something peculiar on the planet. What exactly was peculiar about it? Everything. It was like a local distortion of reality. And it seemed to be emitting strong radiation. Yes. We could have expected to come across something like that sooner or later, according to reports from previous missions. Unidentified sources of radiation, unexplained electromagnetic field anomalies, distortions of matter, space, or even gravity. What are they? According to a bold theory fleshed out by Professor Frankov, they may be instances of the so-called interval. The what? Interval. In very simple terms, it's a non-coincidental superposition of potential universes. We don't know exactly why it occurs, but observations prove that under certain, not yet specified conditions, two or more parallel landscapes can coexist within a common quantum field, creating a so-called proximity plane. Whatever it is, doesn't sound like something I'd want to walk into again. Yes, it's fascinating, but it can be dangerous. If, and I stress if, Professor Frankov's intuition is right, then the distortion you have encountered could have been a puncture point, the spot where the proximity plane intersects with our observed universe, subverting its physical balance and distorting the rules of Newtonian mechanics. We need to learn more about these peculiarities. Inform me at once if you come across another one.
Can't get rid of you.
see me. I'd like to draw your attention to something. My stuff landed here.
What is this? Another anomaly? It looks out of this world. Hey, is that one following me? What the hell?
So, did you find a solution to our problem? Yes. It's super simple. We'll build a bridge. Oh, just like that? Well, it can't be a regular bridge, of course. We don't have the time nor the manpower to accomplish that. However, there is a certain technology that came to my mind, superconductive bridge anchors. They could allow us to quickly span a light but durable construction across our obstacle. Wow, great. Sounds exciting. Yes, but... Oh, here we go. Cut out the sarcasm. It's not my fault this excursion was prepared by a dilettante. Blueprints for the anchors should be standard equipage for every mission since Project Versant went live. But not on this one. They should fire the logistician, if there ever was one. Tell me about it. It's so typical of Ally Corp to send people on a mission and then leave them stranded without proper equipment. I hope you're not feeling sorry for yourself, because we need to act. You are in touch with mining operations, right? Yeah, I am. Why? Next time you talk to someone from mining ops, tell them to send over the anchor blueprints from Versant. Once we have them, things will go back to super simple. You'll see. All right, will do. I made a curious discovery. Another distortion? I don't know. It was different this time. It didn't look dangerous, no radiation. Actually, it didn't do anything. But it caught your attention. It's like nothing I've seen before. It must have something in common with the other distortions. Question is, are they the cause or the reason of so much rupidium here? I'd like to study them more. So would I. And for that, we'll have to design our own tools. Do you have anything specific in mind? Let me think about it. I need to look through Professor Frankov's lectures, as well as notes from other expeditions. I have a theory. I just need to find a way to put it into practice. So, how are you? Settling in all right? Settling in is overrated. I analyze reality from wherever I am, however uncomfortable the angle. There's always an observation to be made. I'd love to hear what you managed to observe. This place is not run optimally. Yeah, I know. I wasn't trained to command a mission. But now that you're here, with your experience, I'd love to pick your brain. Do you think you could mentor me? Good thinking. First of all, you need to set long-term goals and draw up a roadmap for each of them. Remember to include all unpredictable variables in the equation. That way you can have contingency plans at the ready for each instance. All right, slow down. Prioritize resources. Do not waste time on idle conversations with the crew. Hide the booze. Don't be cheap on coffee. That slow enough for you? Hey, you've just crossed out every team-building exercise on my list. The people are there for the mission, not the other way round. Truth is, I really wish we could make use of the tech I worked on for all these imaginary years. It would make things so much easier if it existed. Turning it over in your head won't get you anywhere. You should focus on the work you need to do here and now. I never thought I'd say it, but yes, you're right. Let's get Rupidium back to Earth, and maybe later, we'll see. I ran into another anomaly. This one was different. It was like this distortion was closing in on me, as if I was pulling it toward me. How extraordinary. Maybe its magnetic field is interacting with your suit. Yeah, well, running away from it was no fun. Keeping clear of it is the only thing you can do for now. Let's keep collecting observations. I feel we're onto something groundbreaking here.
Navigation system.
Man, I'm telling you, we need it.
And I'm telling you this is
The sailor evacuated.
Done. I noticed we're missing a few rad filters.
Can't get rid of you.